is here. Maybe government needs to help us understand. Are there some people for whom Article 21 of the Constitution, which says we are all equal under the law, that this one does not apply to some, that some people are above the law? And finally, Right Honourable Speaker, I'm on a point of procedure. Honourable Macho, who has been in Parliament for a bit longer, knows that procedure takes precedence. So I request him to kindly relax. As I finish my procedural matter, Right Honourable Speaker, this very government official was summoned by the Defence Committee of Parliament. Honourable Speaker, this House operates through committees. And you are custodian of these committees as our leader. And when this committee summoned the Chief of Defence Forces, he said, I will not appear before those clowns. Members of Parliament, these ones whom you lead, Right Honourable Speaker, were called clowns. And the clowns, as he called them, decided to leave the man alone out of fear. Because I had expected that that would be a very serious issue, which the committee would raise.
Thank you.
Even before yourself. Because I don't know, Right Honourable Speaker, if you lead clowns, and I don't know what that would make you if you are the leader of clowns. Right Honourable Speaker, we want to know, are there people who are above the law? Why does a government official who is paid from the consolidated fund continue to operate as if for him he is above the law and it is okay? It is not okay. And I would like to beseech you, Right Honourable Speaker, as our leader, that you take this matter up. It should not be okay.
Thank you. Laba. Macho, you need a clarification?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I first want the leader of opposition in Uganda to sit and settle when Macho is talking. Madam Speaker, the law has given good submission saying that there are people in this country who seems to be above the law. Madam Speaker, he makes me bring up a point of clarification whether he's talking the talk, because as I speak now, the leader of his political party, I want to know whether he's above the law by him giving statements that are discriminatory to an extent that inciting public against his fellow MPs, like Honorable Ssenyonyi against Honorable Mpuga. You know, when things happen in NRF, okay, so I'm seeking clarification whether his leader of his party is above the law that he gives his...
Honorable members, these are serious matters. Laba, sit. No. These are serious matters. Let's not bring politics into this.
I'm glad, Right Honourable Speaker, you've ruled that he is being irrelevant by bringing politics to the political issue I raised. Thank you.
Laba, one, I don't lead clowns. And nobody has ever told me that I lead clowns. This house is for honourable members of Parliament. Two, when you say that the CDF was summoned, I did not see the summon. There is only one signature in this house, in this Parliament. It is only the Speaker who is supposed to sign. I don't see how a chairperson of a committee can start summoning anybody, leave alone CDF, anybody. There should be a process of an invitation. Listen, honourable members, Macho, I will throw you out. Honourable members, there must be a procedure of inviting witnesses. But let's not deviate from the real issue. The real issue is the principle of fair hearing. The presumption of innocence. Over to Honourable Mao. The human rights issue. And when I want to advise you members, when you invite these witnesses, You are inviting an office. An office is not MK. There was a deputy CDF, I saw it on social media. You cannot start attaching a single person to this. It is an office. Like you find, if there is a house here, the deputy speaker is chairing. It doesn't have to be me. Honorable Mao, the issue of Eddie, who?
Madam Speaker, we are over 45 million Ugandans, and every day there are many infractions against the law. People are being killed, people are being robbed. It doesn't mean those who break the law are above the law. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable members, the court process is ongoing. The court process is ongoing. What we require to do is to make sure that we expedite the process. You sit, members, sit. Honorable members, I did not introduce Father Frederick to Singwire, the Parliament Court Chaplain. Father, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Yes.
Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs for stating it very unequivocally that no one is above the law. And I want to appreciate him because he released a statement in regard to this particular matter, condemning the abduction and the torture of this person called Edward Sebufu. Away though from the letter, which I do appreciate he wrote, I don't know whether he wrote it because of the opposition politician he has been for a long time, but as a government official, we would want to know, is action going to be taken against this errant government official that broke the law? Because when a minister writes a statement saying a minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs writes a statement saying government official X, CDF, here you are breaking the law. You cannot abduct people and torture them in your basement. Release them. That's a government minister writing that. Away from the fact that that is good and it excited us, what action gets to be taken against this errant government official? Or is he above the law? And that's the question that I was asking. We have now recognized he was operating outside the law.
Thank you.
What then gets to be done? Is anything going to happen to him? And I'm glad even the Prime Minister has walked in. Maybe Honorable Mao might not have an answer, but maybe he should as a minister. But the Prime Minister, who often says she's very able and she's action oriented, is she going to take action against this errant government official called General Muhoozi in Eruka?
I have never seen the IGP himself going to do the arrest. The arrest is done by other people. So you may not talk about the CDF now. We may need to look in depth. We may need to look in depth who did it and why was it done. But then the court process must be expedited. Next item. Next.
Item number 3.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Item number 3 on the order paper. Item number 3 on the order paper, bills first reading. 3.1, the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Amendment Bill 2025.
Thank you. Honorable members, we've been having this bill for long, and I want to congratulate Honorable Kiaga, who introduced this bill. Now it was taken over by government. I now want to call the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs to table the bill.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The procedure issue I am raising The Honorable David Mohoz, former CDF, and usually is the one who comes here because the Honorable Tafire doesn't come. He came and told Parliament that when soldiers and policemen are arresting people, they must identify themselves. General Mohoz Kainerugaba, he said, I disagree with that minister. When I raised the issues here of deploying soldiers in South Sudan, and Parliament asked the Minister for Defense to explain, immediately the spokesperson of UPDF dismissed him. He said that one represents us only in Parliament. General Erweru there, he was called a buffoon by the CDF. One by one.
What is the procedural matter?
I am raising it if you allow me background. One by one, whether ministers, whether UPDF soldiers, whether committees of Parliament are becoming victims of CDF. So the procedural issue I am raising, Madam Speaker, whether you should not get government at the highest level to tell us, because recently he said, you opposition, you are going to beat you during elections. For us, we are Tutsi. These are serious matters that, Madam Speaker, everybody, every sane person must be concerned with. They are not matters that can just be ruled and we continue. I mean, I don't know, Erweru is about to run away. I don't know whether David Moore sits in his office comfortably. The Minister of Defense the other day was here. So we are all have become victims of this one man called Mohoz Kainerugaba. This Parliament must find a solution.
At least for me, I'm not a victim. Because honorable members, what we need to look at, where does that information come from? On social media, anybody can post anything, anytime. Next item. Honorable members, you're going to drag, this order paper is long. Yeah, I'm going to give you after he has laid it. On him, eh? Okay. He has something on it.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Is alternative justice. Is the alternative justice. You just hear from him.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have two procedural matters.
Honorable Minister of Works, while you are away, we raised the issues of the roads in Kampala, the accidents in Kampala, and as Parliament we are regretting why we even rationalize UNRWA. We want a statement from you tomorrow. We want a statement tomorrow.
It will come. It will come, Mama.
Okay.
Madam Speaker, I have two procedural matters. The first one regards the application of our rules of procedure. I have seen in circulation and a gazette saying that we have new rules of procedure which are not accessible by members. I don't have a copy, and I don't know whether this Parliament is now proceeding under the old rules or the new rules so that we are guided properly in processing the business. The second procedural matter is that I don't remember the day, but we had asked that the regulation, the new regulation by statutory instrument, I think called the UPDF establishment, and there was a commitment from the Attorney General that that copy would be brought here, because it is the one that operationalizes the UPDF Act, and it gives potentially the CDF some powers. If Parliament, which made the law, cannot follow on that establishment to see where the powers begin and end, it may be difficult. Some of the questions asked by members here may be in that regulation. Can we get commitment, and that
Thank you.
comes here so that we can examine whether the CDF and how the army is being managed now is in order, or there is something Parliament can do to change that law. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The issue of the rules should be, the rules will be distributed, the new rules that have been gazetted. The clerk should distribute the new rules. That's what we are using now. The new rules should be distributed. AJ, on the issue of CDF.
Thank you, Right Honourable
UPDF.
Speaker. The UPDF is run in accordance with the UPDF Act. The establishment of UPDF is an administrative instrument which is used by the UPDF in setting up their structures internally. But all the powers are granted under the UPDF Act. That's where you should look.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker, that instrument.
He has only spoken English, which you've not understood. So you would have asked him maybe to speak in Luganda. Yes?
Madam Speaker, you know I don't speak Luganda. Are you addressing me?
I'm responding to him.
Yeah, you make it clear to the person, because...
To the person asking what has he said.
Thank you.
I mean...
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So the issue I am raising is that that instrument was made pursuant to a provision of the UPDF Act. It is a statutory instrument. And by law, if you read that act, it's supposed to be laid here, so that Parliament can interrogate whether it does not contravene the spirit of the act. That's all I am asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
AJ?
Well, I think I don't know it. I'm going to go and look for it, but I don't know it.
Thank you. Honorable Mao? Honorable Mao? Let Mao first lay his...
Madam Speaker, there are some members who are above the law here, obviously, as I've seen. You can call someone to the floor, then they interrupt and say whatever they want.
Can you lay your
I'm also calling
bill?
for rule of law in Parliament. Madam Speaker and honorable members, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Copyright and Neighbouring Rights Amendment Bill 2025 be read for the first time. I also beg to lay a copy of the bill and a certificate of financial implications. I beg to move, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Pursuant to Rule 129, Rule 1, Sub-Rule 1 of the Rules of Procedure, the bill stands referred to the Committee of Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, and Rule 129(2) applies.
Item 3.2. The Uganda People's Defense
Can
Forces.
I have these bills laid, then you bring your procedural matters?
Item 3.2. The Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill 2025.
Honorable Minister. The Minister is there. Honorable members, the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs will lay the bill, and the bill is Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill 2025, and this bill is in compliance with the court ruling. Yes.
Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, I beg to lay the bill entitled Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill 2025 for the first reading.
Honorable Minister. Wait, let.
Honourable Speaker, you have even told us that we have got new rules in this House because the intention is to see that we streamline and get orderly. There is a way we ought to operate. The Minister of State for Trade, the Honourable David Bahati, has come here and he has told us that he begs to lay a copy of I do not know what. Right, Honourable Speaker, that's not the way procedurally bills are read for the first time. The Prime Minister is here. Madam Prime Minister, why don't you organize your cabinet? Because even Honourable Bahati has just been ambushed. If your Minister for Defence is not present, you say you are always in charge. Why don't you take charge? And the reason I'm insisting on this, Right Honourable Speaker, is because we have seen a certain draft making circulation. Making circulation, we want to be sure what is being laid. The one making circulation, according to what we have read, actually contravenes Article 92. Oh, I'm on point of order. Prime Minister, calm down. I'm on point of order. Just relax. The draft that we have seen making circulation, Right Honourable Speaker, contravenes Article 92, which says you cannot pass a law to upset a decision of court, because the Supreme Court said civilians have no jurisdiction under military courts. That's the one we are saying.
We'll debate
what is being laid here. We need to know.
We'll debate the bill when it comes. Let it be laid. Can you get the certificate and lay on table?
Right Honourable Speaker, Right Honourable Speaker, I'm requesting that the second thing on the agenda should be read within a minute.
The document is there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members of Parliament. Right Honourable Speaker, my senior minister is here. I will kindly request that he comes and lays the certificate. Honourable Minister.
Honourable Minister of Defence, please lay the bill.
I take the pleasure to lay the copy of the certificate of financial implication.
Honourable members, Honourable Bahati move the motion. And okay, Honourable please start afresh.
In accordance with Rule 134 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament of Uganda, I beg to move that the bill
Honourable members. Yes.
Right, Honourable Speaker. Where's the old? This 121.
Honourable members, Rule 134 is on the first reading of the bill. If you don't know how to read, go ahead.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I appreciate the House, the guidance I'm getting from you. I beg to move that the bill entitled Uganda People's Defence Forces Amendment Bill 2025 be read for the first time.
Thank you.
And I want to attach a copy of the Certificate of Financial Implication in accordance with Section 76 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 as amended, and Rule 124 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament of Uganda, and I lay the same certificate for Uganda People's Defence Forces Amendment Bill 2025.
Thank you. Pursuant to Rule 129(1) of the Rules of Procedure, the bill stands referred to Committee of Defence and Internal Affairs and the Committee of Legal and Parliamentary, and in furtherance to Rule 200, Sub-Rule 3 of Rules of Parliament, The chairperson of Legal and Parliamentary Affairs is hereby designated to chair the joint committee. He will be deputized by the Committee of Defense and Internal Affairs. Honorable Nambose, we are not in a market. Can we people move correctly? Given that this bill is straightforward, and I am not going to allow people to come and do politics here. Given that the bill is straightforward, honorable members, I expect the committee to handle this and should be resolved before the end of the 4th session. So I expect the bill back soon. Next item.
Item 4 on the order paper.
Allow me to first leave that item and we go to the tribute. Can we people move correctly? Given that this bill is straightforward, and I am not going to allow people to come and do politics here. Given that the bill is straightforward, honorable members, I expect the committee to handle this and should be resolved before the end of the 4th session. So I expect the bill back soon. Next item.
Item 4 on the order paper.
Allow me to first leave that item and we go to the pursuant to Rule 56 of Rules of Procedure. I will invite the Right Honorable Prime Minister to move a motion to that effect. Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, I move under Rule 58 of our new Rules of Procedure for a motion of resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to His Holiness the late Pope Francis, the Supreme Pontiff of the Catholic Church, Sovereign of the State of Vatican City, for his selflessness and dedicated service to the Catholic Church and humanity. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, whereas the Parliament of Uganda received with deep sorrow the sad news of the death of His Holiness Pope Francis, which occurred on Easter Monday, 21st April 2025 in Vatican City, aware that His Holiness Pope Francis has been a Supreme Pontiff of the Catholic Church and the Sovereign of the State of the Vatican City from 2013 until his death, noting that His Holiness Pope Francis has been a unique and historic Pope, being the first Jesuit Pope, the first Pope from the Southern Hemisphere, and the first person born and raised outside of Europe to be elected Pope since the 8th century, recognizing that His Holiness Pope Francis advocated for reforms in the Catholic Church by appointing various synods, including the Synod on the Family in October 2014 and 15, the Synod on the Young People in 2018, and the Synod of Synodality in 2024, through which the Pope consulted the worldwide Catholic Church on matters affecting the Catholic Church, appreciating that His Holiness Pope Francis lived a life of distinction, exalted unique compassion and kindness, exhibited charity, selflessness, humility, and wisdom, and led a humble life free from any trampling of power, and gave up most of the privileges attached to the papacy. Further appreciating that His Holiness Pope Francis advocated for the protection of the environment, migrants, women and children, and preached for reconciliation and interreligious tolerance, advocated for the world peace and the peaceful resolution of wars and conflicts in South Sudan, Gaza, Ukraine, Democratic Republic of Congo, and other parts of the world affected by war and conflict. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, cognizant that His Holiness Pope Francis visited Uganda in November 2015 to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the canonization of the Uganda Matters, during which visit Pope Francis preached reconciliation, unity, peace, harmony, and urged leaders to work for the common good of the people. Further cognizant that His Holiness Pope Francis recognized and bestowed unto Father Gospel Ambrosi of Camboni Missionaries of the Heart of Jesus, the right vulnerable, at the event that took place on 20th November 2022 in Kalongo, Guru Archdiocese. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Parliament collectively conveys its deep condolences to the Catholic Church and the people of Uganda for the loss of His Holiness Pope Francis. Number 2, Parliament takes cognizance of the distinguished, selfless, and dedicated service of His Holiness Pope Francis for the Catholic Church and humanity. The Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I beg.
Thank you. Thank you. Is the motion seconded? Seconded by by the whole house, leader of opposition, by the whole house. Thank you so much. Thank you. Madam Right Honorable Speaker, the Prime Minister, can you speak to your motion? Just fine? Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, I am not opposed to the motion, but I just wanted us to reorganize our records. My brother, the Attorney General, stood up in support, and yet he's not a voting member of the House. I just wanted
he was walking out.
I just wanted you to.
That's why I only mentioned the leader of opposition. But Attorney General was walking out. That's a moment, a light moment.
Now that it is expunged, I'm comfortable.
That is a light moment. Prime Minister, can you?
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, below is my justification. That on Monday, 21st April, we received the shocking news of the passing of Pope Francis, the head of the Catholic Church and sovereign of the state of Vatican City. Pope Francis, originally George Mario, was the 266th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, but the first Pope to come from Latin America and from Southern Hemisphere. He was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, on 17th December 1936. His father was Mario Jos Mogorio, who was an accountant, and his mother was Regina Maria Sivori, a committed wife dedicated to raising their 5 children. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, Pope Francis graduated as a chemical technician and then chose the path of the priesthood, entering the diocesan seminary of Villa Devoto in 1958 and becoming a priest on 13th December 1969. On 20th May 1992, he was appointed Bishop of Buenos Aires, and in 1998, he was named the Archbishop of Buenos Aires and was consecrated a cardinal in 2001. That Honorable Speaker and honorable members, he was elected the Supreme Pontiff on 13th March 2013. The profound pontificate of Pope Francis touched many minds and hearts. He set a personal connections with individuals and peoples, with a close attention to those in difficulty, giving himself limitlessly, especially to the marginalized. That Honorable Speaker and honorable members, he was a pope among the people with an open heart towards everyone. Rich in human cordiality and profoundly sensitive to today's challenges, the late Pope Francis truly shared anxieties and sufferings and hopes of this time of globalization. Confronted with the present day global inequality and raging wars with their inhuman horrors and innumerable death and destruction, Pope Francis persistently raised his voice, imploring peace and calling for reason and honest negotiation to find possible solutions. The late Holy Father extraordinarily used his papacy to push for action on climate change. He always proclaimed that environmental degradation is a moral issue spurred by greed and unchecked capitalism, which causes human beings to lose sight of relationships that bind them together and to neglect Earth, their common home. Promoting the concept of integral ecology, the late Pope Francis connected sinful actions against the natural world with the common exploitation of impoverished human beings and the abuse of human rights. That Honorable Speaker and honorable members, Pope Francis was a pope of the people, a transformative figure, and who embodied a spirit of international solidarity, has left behind an extensive diplomatic network across the world. Uganda was blessed to be one of the 68 countries the late Pope Francis visited in the 12 years of his pontificate, recalling that he never even visited his home country of Argentina while he was a pope. These visits offered Pope Francis and the opportunity to call for justice, peace, inclusion, and love for the entire human family. Many of Pope Francis's visits were undertaken as pilgrimages of peace and reconciliation in an open invitation to politicians to overcome partisan interests and push forward processes for the common good of their people. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, particularly while he was in Uganda in November 2015 to celebrate with us the Diamond Jubilee of Nationalization of the Uganda matters, Pope Francis encouraged us to reach out to those in need, to cooperate with others for the common good, and to build a more just society which promotes human dignity, defends God's gift of life, and protects the wonders of nature. That Honorable Speaker, in a more concrete way, the late Pope Francis greatly contributed to the realization of the 2040 agenda vision of transforming our country into a modern and prosperous, achieved through social welfare interventions and development projects of the Catholic Church, which the Pope leads. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the Catholic Church has been collaborating with the government on various projects all over the country in quality education, holistic health and sustainable agriculture, humanitarian relief, peace maintenance, rural microfinance, among others. Right Honorable Speaker and members, on a more personal level, I had the opportunity of meeting the late Pope Francis in 2017, 2022, and 2023. This one-on-one encounters left a lasting imprint on me, and I believe many of you, including you, Right Honorable Speaker. In these moments, what always shocked me most was not the magnificence of his life, or his title, or the admiration he inspired around the world, but his overwhelming humility, sincere graciousness, and politeness. In these private conversations, Right Honorable Speaker and members, the Holy Father thanked the government of Uganda and the President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for maintaining peace and for the worthwhile policy of hosting refugees. On the complex subject and the grave question of family planning, His Holiness encouraged us to remain faithful to God's design in the generation and rearing of new lives. Pope Francis said marriage and conjugal love are by their nature ordained toward the procreation and education of children. He therefore implored us to reinforce the correct policies, laws, and practices on regulation of birth through natural, not artificial methods of family planning. He as well reminded us of the duty and responsibility of raising our children to reflect the image and likeness of God in which they are created. The Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, in February 2025, Pope Francis was hospitalized for several weeks that developed into double pneumonia. He was discharged in late March and subsequently made several public appearances, but sadly died on Easter Monday of 2025 of cerebral stroke and cardiocirculatory collapse. Pope Francis has left behind a towering legacy for individuals and leaders to emulate. Some key valuable lessons from his life and teachings include: 1. Humility, simplicity. Pope Francis emphasized the importance of humility and simplicity in leadership, encouraging leaders to act with humility and avoid on compassion and empathy. He demonstrated genuine care and undertaking for individuals from all walks of life, fostering trust and connections with others. He was always on the side of the discarded, of those no one looked upon. On social justice and advocacy, Pope Francis championed poverty alleviation, environmental stewardship, and human rights, urging world leaders to prioritize the poor and the vulnerable. On inclusivity and unity, he sought to break down barriers and promote unity, highlighting common values and shared humanity. On selflessness, on sacrifice and servant leadership, the Pope Francis emphasized the importance of self-sacrifice and a humble service in a good leadership, asking leaders to act with humility and respect towards others. On forgiveness, Right Honourable Speaker and members, and reconciliation, he advocated for forgiveness and reconciliation as tools for healing and peace building. Right Honourable Speaker, on environmental stewardship, Pope Francis highlighted the need to address climate change and promote sustainable practices. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, I would like to thank the Honourable Speaker for according this remarkable and admirable leader a special recognition in his honor through the consideration of this motion before the House today. That Honourable Speaker, as I end, I want to thank you and your delegation for having attended the burial of the Holy Father. The NRM government, under the wise leadership and able leadership of His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, wishes to extend its profound sympathies to the Catholic Church and the Christian family and all the people of Uganda. May the Almighty God grant his soul eternal rest. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for that tribute, and that speaks all about the Pope, his humility, the simplicity, the unity preached, the love for the poor, and the peace. His last words were peace, peace be with you. A leader of opposition. Leader of opposition will second the motion and we will have an independent then.
Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I rise to second the motion and to pay tribute to Pope Francis, an exemplary religious leader who significantly contributed to the reshaping of the global moral compass. His legacy will be remembered not only within the Catholic Church, but also around the world by those who cherish truth, justice, and the inherent dignity of every human being. Pope Francis was more than a religious leader. He was a voice of reason and compassion in a world increasingly torn by division, inequality, and greed. He championed social justice, urged governments to prioritize the poor, and advocated against global systems that perpetuate suffering. His encyclical Laudato Si reminded us all of our urgent responsibility to care for our planet. This message is even more critical today as we witness the devastating impacts of climate change across Uganda and the world. Pope Francis warned us of the consequences of exploiting nature and ignoring our duty as stewards of creation. Sadly, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, environmental degradation continues to displace communities, destroy livelihoods, and deepen poverty. Pope Francis's clarion call should, therefore, serve as a wake-up call to urgently rethink our development approach and harness the environment sustainably for the benefit of present and future generations. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, Pope Francis was a bridge builder who crossed the boundaries of faith, politics, and ideology. He reached out to Muslims, Jews, and people of no faith. If we are to move forward and a place in our shared future, Pope Francis spoke to presidents, prisoners, refugees, and the forgotten with the same humility. Perhaps what made him truly revolutionary was his simplicity. He rejected the glorification of titles and preferred to be called just Francis. In a world where power often corrupts, he embodied the opposite. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, as you will recall, Pope Francis visited Uganda in 2015 and brought with him messages that were both timely and deeply powerful. Speaking with clarity and urgency, he reminded our leaders that the development of a nation depends not only on infrastructure, but more importantly, on upright and honest leaders and citizens who are guided by a spirit of service. His words were not abstract. They were a direct call for action for all of us in public leadership. Honourable colleagues, the legacy of Pope Francis challenges us to reflect deeply on the kind of leadership we offer this country. It must never be about position, entitlement, or self-preservation. True leadership, as he demonstrated, is about serving the people with humility, dignity, and humanity. He advocated for justice, transparency, and servant leadership. We, as leaders, must reflect seriously on these values today. At a time when our nation is experiencing a painful breakdown in governance, public resources are being looted, and citizens live in fear. That fear is not abstract, but a bitterly lived experience. Ugandans are being arbitrarily arrested, tortured, and detained without trial for days, some months. Security forces are used to silence dissent, and citizens speak quietly about issues that should be debated openly. Pope Francis's message on such situations was very clear. The dignity of every human being must be upheld, and no government should rule through fear. To the youth, he urged them not to lose hope and not to be discouraged. In today's Uganda, where the youth face unemployment, repression, and hopelessness, his message is more urgent than ever. He wanted young people to become change makers, not victims of a broken system. The Pope's humility stands in stark contrast to the emergence of a new class of untouchables in Uganda. These individuals conceal their abuse of power behind their titles, and they trample on the rights of ordinary people. In Pope Francis's world, titles are meaningless if they are not accompanied by service. Today, titles have increasingly become shields against accountability. Today, titles have increasingly become shields against accountability. During his visit to Nalukolongo, Pope Francis met the elderly and the disabled. He said, "It is in caring for the weakest members of society that we show our true strength. It is therefore a tragic irony that while many Ugandans go without health care, clean water, or even hope, their taxes are stolen by a few who occupy various positions of influence in our country." Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, Pope Francis's legacy challenges us. It highlights our failures as the political elite and motivates us to strive for improvement. He serves as a reminder that leadership is not about status but about service. Service means standing with the vulnerable, speaking the truth, and living with integrity. As we celebrate his life and legacy, let us pledge to uphold the principles he represented: humility, justice, and compassion. That is the Uganda that Pope Francis would have wanted to see. May the soul of Pope Francis rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable members, as we pay respect to the most respected Holy Pope, we should pay it with respect and dignity. We can talk about politics after, but for now, let's talk about the man of God who was full of humility, simplicity. Tinker.
I want to thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker, to thank the Right Honourable Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Leader of Opposition, for the good submissions about the late, our Holy Father, Francis. Today, Parliament, I want to really thank you so much for giving us a crying hand, shoulder, particularly the Catholic Church, for losing our Holy Father. For us, we move in strength that we got a new Holy Father when we saw the smoke, but for this purpose, the white smoke, for this purpose, I want to state that the Holy Father that I met, I will greatly miss him. When we went to see him last year, when you move in the first gate, you are meeting a serious head of state. When you go to the second gate, you start seeing simplicity. Third gate, you start seeing a man who is trusting in the total protection of God. Then the fourth gate, you see joy and peace prevailing in the environment where he meets his subjects, all the people that he meets. I was very excited to receive his blessing. I was very excited to kiss his ring and to accept. I was very, very excited that at the age of 53, as a Catholic, that's when I was able to meet him, to at least touch the hands of the Pope. It's incredible, but we want to say this leader that we met had special attributes in the world. For instance, I remember there is a time he spoke about blessing the homosexuals. A tirade of attack went against him, including the church, the people he was leading, cardinals, bishops writing letters. But he said, even when I have authority to excommunicate anyone who disagrees with me, I will not call forth against that. You see a leader who understood his responsibility as handed over to him from the reign of St. Peter, the apostle of Jesus, the first pope. And he recognized that he was merely the 266th pope of the world, of the Catholic Church. I was very excited in one of his doings as a pope. He allowed single mothers who would want to return to receiving the Holy Communion to undertake the rituals in return to receiving the Holy Communion. We cannot underlook that aspect, because we have seen the entire world growing with single mothers struggling for years, and I think they needed to struggle with the Lord.
Thank you. Lucy,
what else would I say? I pray that we who had that personal touch with him shall slowly stand the loss and move with the strength of the blessings that we received from him. May the Lord have mercy on his dear servant Francis and receive him on his right hand side.
thank you, Honorable Lucy, Honorable Musasizi.
Thank you so much.
I'll give all of you, including Aisha.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving us this opportunity.
Let's reduce the time so that more members speak.
To honor Pope Francis. I know the name Pope now is not there. Even on his grave, he just put simple mark of Francis. On behalf of the Catholic Chaplaincy, we continue to pray for Pope Francis, that he will rest in peace. Madam Speaker, I have had the rare opportunity to meet Pope Francis over 7 times. Yes, that's the grace of God. And every time we meet him, it's different. And this year in August, I was again looking forward to meeting him. But maybe now we shall meet Pope Leo XIV. Madam Speaker, I just want to bring to your attention that Pope Francis served to the last. He did not allow his sickness pull him down. Actually, in January this year, he took the longest trip to East Timor, Philippines, to go to the people. I watched that papal visit and I was struck. I thought my faith increased because of what he did. Secondly, he launched the year of Jubilee this year, and he died when it was not complete. But I know it was dear to him. He was buried at St. Mary's Major Basilica. For some reason, every time I am in Rome, this is my favorite place. For the 7 years I would go, I would not leave Rome without visiting that basilica. And I am happy he chose that place as his final resting place. Madam Speaker, Pope Francis was a peacemaker. Those of you who watch the videos, how he kissed the feet of the leaders from South Sudan. And I pray that South Sudan finds peace even when Pope Francis is no more. Recently, when Pope Leo XIV was addressing the cardinals on Saturday, 10th, this is what he had to say about Pope Francis. He said, I continue and follow closely in the footsteps of late Pope Francis. And he called it a precious legacy. Precious legacy, and he said, we must make good use of this legacy. Madam Speaker, if I don't say this about Pope Francis, I would not have done justice to him. Finally, Pope Francis loved children with a passion. The elderly, the disabled. I remember every time we have the private audience, there is a special corner for families with children. Even if you're the president, you will never take that seat as long as you don't have a child. You will not sit on that seat. And it is the front seat where he comes from because he wants to emerge and see children. And when he sees children, you see the genuine smile that beams from his face, the excitement that he has. Several times he has stopped his motorcade just to go and greet children. Several times he has stopped his motorcade to go and say hello to the disabled person. My God, this world will miss Pope Francis. But we are consoled as Catholics that we now have Pope Leo XIV. For those of you who don't know him, go and study about him.
Thank you.
He is going to be a lot more. And because the Catholic Church relies on the Holy Spirit in the selection of the Pope. We were wrong as human beings in saying we want this, we want that. But the Holy Spirit had already chosen Pope Leo XIV. And he's taking over from Pope Leo XIII, who is the promoter of the Catholic social teaching. If you don't know, this is the best document you can read. Go and read. It has everything to do with human rights, justice, democracy. That was promoted by Pope Leo XIII, and he is going to continue with this legacy. Pope Leo XIV will continue from where Pope Leo XIII stopped. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity, and I greet you, our Pope Nuncio, and the team that has come from Catholic Secretariat. We continue to pray for Pope Francis to rest in peace. Thank you so much.
Honorable Akela is the Sabbath Christo in Parliament. I want to introduce Father Rafael Romero Augustine, the Director of Divine Virtue Ashram Center, India. You're most welcome. We have Miss Alijo, the Retreat Coordinator. You're most welcome. We have Mr. Lioj, the Retreat Coordinator. Welcome. We have Miss Anne Makoa, also a Retreat Coordinator from Kenya. We have Miss Margaret Karuga, Coordinator from Kenya. We have Evelyn Arinaitre, Coordinator for Uganda. You're all most welcome, and they are here to listen to the motion when we are paying tribute for the Holy Father. Pardon? Honorable Musasizi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
We'll reduce the time to 2 minutes, yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to pay tribute to the late Pope Francis. Madam Speaker, I first saw Pope Francis in 2015 when he visited Uganda, and I want to thank him. He came with blessings of the construction of Namugongo. It is now a beautiful place for the pilgrimage, where I am privileged to have seen my mother for the last 11 years. She has been a walking pilgrim from Kawale Diocese. Madam Speaker, I also had an opportunity to meet Pope Francis on 24th of August 2024. I was part of the delegation which you led and had a private audience with the Pope. Not only a private audience, but also the discussions we had, especially on the peace and justice, were quite immense, and we thank him for that. I also had an opportunity to attend the burial of the Pope Francis. What do I pick from this? Simplicity and humility. Even in death, what he prayed for was that his burial be a simple burial. It was the first time I saw a burial where the whole world is in attendance, but everything is done in a simple way. Madam Speaker, I pray that God continues to grant eternal rest to the late Pope Francis.
Thank you, thank you. Pope Francis was very passionate about Uganda because of the Uganda matters, and that's why we had a canonization of Uganda matters in the Vatican. Gweri, Ariko. No, I was calling Ariko.
Madam Speaker, I would like to thank you so very much for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I stand here to second the motion to pay tribute to the late Pope Francis. Madam Speaker, I come from the Holy Family Parish in Soroti Catholic Diocese that is located in Gweri. Madam Speaker, Pope Francis was the first Jesuit priest to be Pope. He was the first Latin American, but he was also the first Pope that had been born and raised outside Europe since the 8th century when we had Pope Gregory III. Madam Speaker, when we talk about Pope Francis, we talk about a Holy Father whose leadership of the Catholic Church was characterized by humility, simplicity, and a break with the tradition of having church leaders at that senior level detached from the flock that they lead. I personally had the privilege of meeting Pope Francis for 5 times when we traveled to the Vatican. Madam Speaker, because of his Jesuit background,
1 second. Give him a minute.
Madam Speaker, Pope Francis chose to lead a simple life. He resided at the Domus Sanctae Martha guest house rather than living in the papal apartments in the Apostolic Palace. That exemplified his desire to remain simple and to show the world that even as you are a great leader, you can still lead a life that touches many people in a simple way. He wore simple vestments rather than the ornamented ones. Pope Francis was also at the center of ensuring full restoration of diplomatic ties between Cuba and the USA. He was instrumental in ensuring that the Chinese Communist Party had its influence in the appointment of bishops regulated so that they no longer dictated who was appointed bishop. As you know, these are tenets of a person who is able to negotiate and bring persons closer into a sense of peace and reconciliation.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Segona, Honorable Bahati. The altar boy will come last.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity, and I want to join colleagues in celebrating the life of the Pope. I want to thank the Prime Minister for bringing this motion, and I want to support her with all my heart. For the record, I am Anglican, and on behalf of the Anglican chaplaincy and my colleagues, I want to join you in paying deep tribute to His Holiness the Pope Francis, who was a global moral compass, the person who would all look at, emulate, study, and have some take-homes. Pope Francis has been described as humble. Even when I wanted to disagree with the Prime Minister that he told her that President Museveni was ruling Uganda very well, with his humility, I am tempted to think it happened. Even when we belong to different denominations, you would look at the Pope and take lessons. He was not self-imposing. One of the causes of the dangers that we experience today is having self-imposing persons, even when they are not as big as they think. I believe if Pope Francis was not here, he would not allow Mukajanga to kill the martyrs. He would not allow my brother Jacob Oboth to bring the bill he has brought today. He would not allow self-imposition.
Honorable Bahati.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank you for the opportunity to pay tribute to Pope Francis, a man of God who guided the world for the years that he was a pope. The Bible says that we shall know them by their fruits. And I'm sure that the works of Pope Francis produced good fruits in his time. He was a firm leader who never feared anybody. I want to quote two examples. In the recent times in the war of Ukraine and Russia, he was courageous to stand up and tell the Ukrainian president that it's time to raise a white flag and negotiate. In the elections of the US, he was able to stand up and tell the Americans that we are choosing between two evils, the one against migrants and another one against life. So we want to celebrate his life and want to congratulate the Vatican for choosing and give us a new Pope who will build on the works of St. Francis. At the end of the day, Pope Francis was a holy man who worked so hard to enter heaven. I hope that through his works and belief, all of us will follow his footsteps to working hard to one day to enter heaven. I thank you.
Thank you. Pope Francis indeed was known by his works. Press affairs. Honorable Mpuga.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to support this motion to pay tribute to Pope Francis, who was not just a pope for the Catholics, but a shepherd to all humanity. Pope Francis had the rare and unique ability to touch all people in different ways. Perhaps it was because of his love for the earth. The leader of opposition mentioned here a document called the Laudato Si, a very important document about our care for our common home, which is the earth. And I often listen to him cry out for the earth as our mother and for the harm that we inflict on it because of our irresponsible use and abuse of natural resources. He saw the earth as an environment for our sustenance, but which, because of our greed, we turned into something that we used for our immediate satisfaction and interests. Pope Francis will be remembered as a pope who was simple and yet profound in the way he thought about set doctrines of the church. I was particularly intrigued and followed his discourses about the Lord's Prayer, which I thought were truly meaningful about our relationship with God and about the relationship of God to people and their sins. It could not be said, as he said, that the Lord or God should not lead us into temptation. But his cry was that from temptations. As the English would say, I would like to conclude with enthusiasm that even though the Pope has died, the Pope lives again. I would like to congratulate the Catholic Church upon the election of Pope Leo XIV, and I hope that they will continue in the path that was set by Pope Francis. God rest his soul in eternal peace.
Thank you, Honorable Mpuga.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Then Aisha.
I would like to join the Prime Minister in secondment of this special motion in remembrance of the Holy Father departed. Right Honorable Speaker, when Pope Francis visited Uganda on 27th to 30th of May, November 2015, his message had three critical issues for our memory. One is remembrance, because the Uganda matters were a major attraction to his coming. He reminded us to remember their cause, the nature of their sacrifice, and what it reminded us as leaders, Catholics, Ugandans, and all duty bearers, family leaders, et al. Secondly, fidelity as a key message left behind. Fidelity to all manner of vocations. I believe that even our own calling as leaders is a vocation. But do we ever reflect to understand the meaning of what we say, what we do in whichever space, and how it reflects on our scope of fidelity as leaders? The laws we make, the views we bear, the way we try to influence society for posterity, for me, is a very critical message. And then lastly, his insistence on prayer. That a living being must be reminded about prayer, because he knew then and now that human beings have a tendency of receding to prayer. May we use his message in that threesome to understand our duty as leaders in this country.
Thank you, Aisha. And then Doctor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, for the record, I'm the Secretary to the Muslim Parliamentary Caucus. Therefore, on behalf of the Muslim community at Parliament, I join colleagues in celebrating the life of the Pope and paying tribute. I would therefore like to support the motion, and I would like to say that the epitome of the Pope's humility is exhibited at that time, when he was asked by some journalist to talk about himself. He referred to him by his real name, George Bagogorio, I said, who is he? And he said, I'm a sinner. Now, a pope that is known to be most holy, to describe himself as a sinner, he lowered himself, the most common man, to tell people that I'm human just like you are. Indeed, his humility was exemplary, and there was a lot to learn from him. If the pope were to come back here to Uganda, he would have been most disappointed, because the environment, the way he left it, when he left here, he's been further degraded. Human rights abuse are at the extreme. Respect for human dignity is zero. So he would be very disappointed. So as we mourn him, we should learn more from him, his humility, his interest to not wanting to amass wealth. He never supported the accumulation of primitive wealth to himself. We shall live to remember him, and I pray that the Catholic community, together with the world as a whole, takes lesson from him. Thank you.
One thing I'm sure and I'm aware, that the Pope loved Uganda so much, so much. I had private audience with the Holy Pope 8 times. And the refugee policy in Uganda is what the Pope loved so much. Dr. Lulume.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank the Prime Minister for moving this motion and everybody's submission. Right Honorable Speaker, I was humbled when I saw a picture of the Pope bowing down to kiss the shoes. Say the feet, but they were putting on shoes.
The feet.
Of the President of South Sudan, the Vice President. If a catechist had to bow down just to fasten the shoelaces, my shoelaces, I would faint. But you just imagine a Pope bowing down to African President and Vice President and kissing their shoes. They would have fainted. But that was very big message for them. I don't know what they derive from that kind of action. But I believe that African leaders need to pick a leaf, even after the demise of our Pope. That lesson must continue to live. When the Pope visited us in Uganda, he used a small car, and incidentally, I didn't see escorts. But it was a lesson that God provides the security. I wish we could pick a leaf from that.
I'm offering you to go to the Vatican in the next session. And
Thank you very much, Right Honorable
Speaker. Security in the Vatican. Yes. In the next travel to the Vatican, I'll go with the doctor. Yes. Yes, Gonzaga.
Madam Speaker, also support the motion. Madam Speaker, in the Catholic faith, when a Pope dies, everywhere in the Catholic parishes, bells are rung everywhere. When a new Pope has been announced, it's the same action. And our prayers to you, Madam Prime Minister and the members, is the message of reconciliation that the Pope was promoting. The moment you do that, you are in the hearts of the Pope. That's why the Pope, we don't say may he so rest in peace. We say may he be canonized as a saint. Roma locuta causa finita. What the Pope says, nobody else should ask. So we pray for reconciliation. The moment we shall achieve that, all the actions he carried out were basing us, training us, teaching us the message of reconciliation. Can you reconcile? Can you reconcile? And you with the rosary, you and I, let us promote reconciliation on both sides. We shall have promoted the message of the Pope.
Thank you. Christine, Francis, Silas, Thomas.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. and giving us chance to recognize the works of the Pope. Right Honorable Speaker, the Pope loved the environment so much. And when he came up with the document called Laudato Si, very many countries since 18th June 2015, very many countries have been following up with the documentation to actually develop their laws to govern the management of the environments. Right Honorable Speaker, the Pope reminded us that whether you have money, there had been research that there could be some planets where humans can settle. But from whatever the Pope analyzed, he re-echoed it that all of us, our common home is the earth. Whether they had come up with research that there could be certain planets that could host human beings, he re-echoed it that this is the common place for us. And in that document, it had 7 principles. But he reminded us that the earth also cries. And he called on political leaders to mind about the earth's cries and also the cries of the poor. Right Honorable Speaker, within the 7 principles of Laudato Si, he reminded us to build the resilience and empowerment of our people. And very many countries that have gone on the directions of the Pope have actually come up with mechanisms to reduce on their emissions, the greenhouse emissions. And in the 10 years, some of the countries can show that after the reference to the Laudato
Francis. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I also support the motion. Right Honourable Speaker, from the teachings of the Pope, he was pro-life, pro-people, and pro-poor. I remember his famous quote, that life is good when you're happy, but life is better when you make other people happy. And for me, that was touching. Right Honourable Speaker, I am also one of the people who have met the Pope many times. But when I got close to him, I would want to tell him that I'm also called Francis. So when I said I am Francis from Uganda, he said, how is the land of the matters? How is the land of the matters? And from then, I started walking to Namugongo. Because I saw how emotional he was talking about the Uganda matters. And of course, every day I walk. But let me tell you, members, there is power in Uganda matters. And those of you who go to Namugongo, even if you walk from here, walk from your home, or just drive there, you see the power of the Uganda matters. Finally, let's not just talk about how he loved Uganda or how good he was. Let's go and live in his footsteps. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Silas, and may he continue to intercede for us.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity. First, I would love to convey special condolences to you because the Pope was your special friend. That one everybody in Uganda knows. And really, I know how you feel and how you miss your dear friend. Right Honourable Speaker, for the years that I've been in the Parliament, I have developed a very big connection to the Catholic Church, much as I'm from the Anglican background. These days, I even understand special terms, special words in the Catholic system. For instance, synod and synodality. Right Honourable Speaker, when we talk about synod, some people may not understand, but it means the gathering of bishops and other stakeholders to discuss matters that affect the church. And the bishop that we are talking about was not a dictator. He is a man who managed to put bishops together and stakeholders of the church together to discuss special matters. And you know, when we talk about synodality, it means the process of working together, listening to each other, discerning the will of God, but not taking upon the will of man. And that is what the Pope was known for. He's a man that will be lived. We shall remember him forever, forever, and forever again. He was a great man. He loved Africa. He loved the world. And I guess if he came back, if he had not passed on, he would have touched my hand as well. The Pope was true Ugandan, based in Italy. May God rest his soul in eternal peace.
Thank you. Thank you. Catherine, Mrs. Angola, Thomas.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, allow me to add my voice by thanking our Prime Minister for tabling this motion to pay respect to our dear Pope, who is in heaven already. Right Honourable Speaker, I think the man of God might have reshaped the image of Pope leadership, making it less about power, but more about being a shepherd who walks with the flock he's looking after. Right Honourable Speaker, his personal conduct was unmatched. You can imagine he used to carry his own briefcase. He used to carry it himself. I remember seeing him carrying it. What a kind of person would you want to see in Pope Francis? Right Honourable Speaker, his language of humility would hit you down as a believer. Right Honourable Speaker, he frequently referred himself as a sinner in need of God's mercy. What about us Christians? Let us learn and follow the teachings of Pope Francis, and let us preach unity and love to one another. I thank you so much.
Thank you. Betty, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I am a Christian, or Catholic Christian from Lira Diocese. This is what I can say about Pope Francis. He was our head of the Catholic Church in the world. He was a public figure and a world figure, Right Honourable Speaker. What I remember about Pope Francis is that he was always concerned about the poor, about refugees, about climate change. He was always concerned about Catholic projects in the world, which is a very important thing, Right Honourable Speaker. Now, the Pope, as I remember him, and it is very, very important that we speak about him today, we pay this tribute, because he visited Uganda. I remember where he stayed, in Mbuya. As a Catholic, would line up there in the evenings when he gets back to his residence. Would, wave to him. We smile to him. So this tribute is very important, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the Pope, when he spoke to leaders, he urged them to work very hard.
Thank you. Thomas.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity. Right Honourable Speaker, as an ex-seminarian, and on behalf of all the ex-seminarians who are here, we are more than 20 here. We have the likes of Musa Sizi, Honourable, Tinkansimire,
make your presentation.
Mwagaba, and so on.
Don't.
On their behalf, and on behalf of the people of Moyo District, I would like to condole with the people of the world, that's the Catholic Church, all the Christians, non-Christians, everybody, for the demise of the pontiff. We are here to celebrate his legacy and life as a selfless person who fought hard for peace, unity, development, who fought hard for humanity. He fought for harmony, dialogue, democracy, and encouraged consensus when there are other contentious issues related to leadership and governance in the world. And I really vividly remember him for his Latin words like labor non verbe, work not words. Ad futuro edificamus, we build for the future. Si insti et inste, cur non ego, if others can, why not I? Very good. So please, I remember him for that. And lastly, he says about the timing. Tempus est pecunia, time is money. So we have to work hard and catch up with the time. And lastly, Madam Speaker, I would like to congratulate the Catholic fraternity for electing a new Pope in the names of Pope Leo the 14th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Faith.
Right Honorable Speaker, I also join colleagues to condole with the entire Catholic community globally upon the passing of Pope Francis. As they have already mentioned, his humility stood out. I want to testify that in the manner in which Pope Francis carried himself, he made the Catholic Church more admirable. There are people who had stopped praying but resumed in the reign of Pope Francis. The numbers grew. If the statisticians know, they can compute better. There are people in my community who got received in this season in the Catholic faith because of the manner, the humility was excessive. If the statisticians knew how to count, they would already tell us that the numbers of the Catholics in Uganda have increased, not just because people are producing, but because the Catholic faith is more admirable in this time. It's a lesson that we carry on. The other thing I admire about the life of Pope Francis was a time when he took to give an apology to the indigenous Canadians on behalf of the atrocities of the past, of colonial atrocities that happened in the schools. For a person of a pope to even apologize, it's not easy. It's a lesson that we will carry on as leaders, that even for the crimes that have been committed by those who came before us, by the people, we should be able to take responsibility. It helps the country, it helps the world to heal. So the life of Pope Francis is lessons for us who are still living. I pray that we get a little portion of his humility and how.
Thank you, Sam. Sam, Honorable Order, and finally.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Madam Speaker, I want to appreciate Madam Prime Minister for this motion. The life of the late Pontiff was a remarkable one, that we who are his followers, I picked one thing, Madam Speaker. When my Bishop of Little Diocese returned from the Vatican, I thought he had brought something very special. So I visited him, and he told us Pope Francis requested that we should pray for him. And I thought we needed him to pray for us. And I asked myself many questions. Madam Speaker, the spirit and the humility in the person of the Pope was a good lesson that all of us should look at and follow. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Order. Whenever you ask Pope Francis to pray for you, he would equally tell you, pray for me too.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity
I want to thank Right Honorable Prime Minister for the motion, and I have supported this motion. Right Honorable Speaker, Pope Francis is known for his humility, accessibility, compassionate leadership style. He is also recognized for his strong communication skills and his commitment to social justice and environmental stewardship leadership that he offered to the world. Right Honorable Speaker, Pope Francis showed a gesture of interfaith dialogue, and he demonstrated it by visiting many mosques. He was in Qatar, he went to Abu Dhabi, he was in Indonesia, and whenever he goes and he enters the church, the mosque, and he joins the Muslims and pray together. There's a lot that we can learn from that. Right Honorable Speaker, really, we are all one people before God. Therefore, whichever the house of God you go to, Pope Francis showed us that we all believed in one God. Thank you.
Thank you, and that can be witnessed on the day of his burial. All the other religions were given to pray for his soul. Mama Mavengina.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank God that I've been able to come to Parliament today when there is very important order paper about paying the tribute to the late Pope Francis. I thank the Right Honorable Prime Minister for bringing the motion, and I want to strongly support it. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, we will all agree that Pope Francis was very, very unique in all his ways. In 2016, when the late Pope Francis came to Uganda, there was a very, very heavy rain before he prayed for us in Namugongo. And I remember we walked through and through the rain up to Namugongo, and we had to spend the night there in the water in order to attend his prayer the following day. And so, Right Honorable Prime Minister, Right Honorable Speaker, I didn't have the opportunity of meeting him many times like other colleagues, but I want to say how happy I am that in 2021, just before COVID-19 came, I was one of the people who was nominated to go to Rome to go and meet Pope Francis, because we were going as a life ascending international, and also in Uganda here we have Life Ascending Uganda, and this is an association of the older persons. And so I want to thank my Diocese of Nebi for supporting me and giving me.
Alabtong, Sarah.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to join my colleagues in paying tribute to His Holiness the late Pope Francis for the great things and the great lessons that we've learned from him. From him, we've learned the values of universal love and courage. Specifically, Right Honorable Speaker, what touched me most was that act of humility when he knelt down and kissed the feet of President Salva Kiir and the leader of opposition. And I think as a leader and also as leaders, we pick a great lesson of great humility from a great man that has been honored by the whole world. And I pray that his memory should help us to know and to have concrete actions and picking lessons of peace and reconciliation from this great man of God. And I'd like therefore to thank the Catholic fraternity for electing the new Pope, Pope Leo XIV, and we pray that may the legacy of Pope Francis continue to live forever in our lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sarah.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
There's a motion.
Right Honorable Speaker. No.
There's a motion by Santa.
But let's
Eh.
let me complete. Can I complete? Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for dedicating time to discuss this very important subject matter of our dear Pope, whom I was privileged to meet physically twice in the Vatican. I will speak about two things. One that has not been spoken about, Right Honorable Speaker. When we met him, he told us to desist and ensure that we preach peace. War, he detested war, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to quote, because I still have his speech that he made to us when we visited him. He said, as legislators, we must know that war is a failure of politics and of humanity, and a shameful capitulation, a stinging defeat before the forces of civil. He actually told us, Right Honorable Speaker, that the only war that we must fight is war against evil. And if corruption is evil, let us fight it. If homosexuality is evil, let us fight it. If we feel anything is evil, let us fight it. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, this gallant son also, Right Honorable Speaker, recognized the women. The leadership of women was one thing that he did recognize, and I want to state, Right Honorable Speaker, that he actually appointed Sister Simona Brambilla, a nun, as the first woman prefect of the Vatican, overseeing religious orders. Right Honorable Speaker, other notable women that he appointed, in the interest of time, was Sister Natalie Baquet as Under Secretary of the Synod of Bishops. He also, Right Honorable Speaker, appointed Sister Rafaela Pretina as the President of the Pontifical Commission, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Can I conclude?
Right
Honorable Speaker.
Pope was a man of everybody, for children, for the poor, for the church, and we are happy that he now recognizes the women in top leadership of the Catholic Church. And you will always remember him for his humility, the simplicity, and love for humanity. He was a peacemaker. He served with all the dignity, and he will leave the precious legacy. And he declared 2025 as a year of jubilee, and let's remain positive in everything that we do. Yes, there's a motion.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, everything good has been mentioned about the late Pope Francis. I now move that we close the debate. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you, thank you. Seconded. Seconded by Militon, Aisha, Nyamutoro, by the mover, the Prime Minister, by Finance. Honorable members, I now put a question that the House pays growing tribute to His Holiness, the late Pope Francis, the Supreme Pontiff of the Catholic Church and the Sovereign of the State of the Vatican City, for his selfless and dedicated service to the Catholic Church and to humanity in the world. Those in favor say, and the contrary, nay. Aye. The ayes have it. I'll now instruct the clerk to extract the resolution and transmit it to the church, to the Pope Nuncio, the Papal Nuncio of Uganda. That will be transmitted thereafter to the Vatican. We want to thank you, Pope Nuncio, so much with your team for coming over to Parliament of Uganda. And as Parliament of Uganda, we will dearly miss Pope Francis, but at the same time we are consoled that we have the new Pope. Yes, Prime Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, I want to thank you for having supported my motion. However, I feel it necessary that I also give a congratulatory message to His Holiness Pope Leo the 14th. Right, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, on behalf of the government of Uganda, I would like to congratulate His Holiness Pope Leo the 14th upon becoming the new Supreme Pontiff of the Catholic Church and Sovereign of the Vatican City. Pope Leo the 14th, over the years, has been a leader in various positions in the church. He has always been promoting love, harmony, and humility, among other things. Right, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, indeed, the new Holy Father has begun his purpose with a message of peace, which is a fundamental aspiration for the government of Uganda, led by His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Following the Pope's call, may the true peace and friendship prevail in our country for God and my country.
Thank you. Thank you so much, honorable members, for paying tribute. Next item.
Item 5 on the order paper.
Next item.
Laying of papers. Item 5.
Let's first lay the papers, then you come with your procedures.
5.1. The Gazette published by the East African Community Secretariat, Volume 1, Number 13, dated 17th May 2024, on the decisions and orders of the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd extraordinary summits of the East African Community Heads of State.
Honorable Minister, Prime Minister. Next.
Item 5.2, the Mineral Production Sharing Agreement for Kilembe Mines.
Honorable Members, Section 28(5) of the Mining and Minerals Act 2022 requires the Minister to lay before Parliament a mineral agreement signed and adopted by government within 60 days of the date of signing of this agreement. I now want to invite the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development to table the agreement.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the Mineral Production Sharing Agreement dated 3rd March 2025 between Government of Uganda, represented by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, and Sarai Group Limited, Nile Fire Board Limited, and the Uganda National Mining Company for the exploration, development, production, and processing of minerals in Kilembe mines. I beg to lay.
Thank you, honorable members. The agreement is for information. It will be deposited in the Parliamentary Library for its reference by all the interested members. If you want, you can go and look at it.
Constitutional Affairs is here. The Minister of State for Internal Affairs is here. Maybe government needs to help us understand. Are there some people for whom Article 21 of the Constitution, which says we are all equal under the law, that this one does not apply to some, that some people are above the law? And finally, Right Honourable Speaker, I'm on a point of procedure. Honourable Macho, who has been in Parliament for a bit longer, knows that procedure takes precedence. So